We're live.
Hello.
Today we are back from our latest cruise on Holland America's Volendam.
We are.
A very small ship, the smallest ship we've ever been on.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk all about small ships today. So stay tuned, and we're going to do a little bit of that.
Hi, everybody. We're Jill and Jerry, the Cruising Canucks. Welcome to our Sunday Live.
Yeah, we're here every Sunday at 2 p.m. unless we're on a cruise. And even then, sometimes we manage to squeeze in a live like we did on the Volendam.
Yes.
So, and for those that can't join us live, we record this. So it's available on YouTube on our podcast part of our site, Banter Onboard. And or you can catch it on Spotify or Apple Music. It's also there starting Monday mornings every week. So for those that are listening to the podcast, we've been off for 2 weeks on a cruise, but we've lots more to talk about. So
yes,
we are back. And did you enjoy yourself?
We had a fabulous cruise. We really did. And we weren't sure going into this. I think we had shared with a lot of you prior to it that it was our 44th cruise. And it was going to be the smallest cruise that we had ever gone on. And we started with relatively small cruises way back when, but it had been a while, and this definitely was the smallest. So we weren't sure what we were getting ourselves into, but we were so pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, for those of you that had caught our video that came out yesterday at lunchtime, you'll find out how happy we were, because we found close to perfection on this cruise, which seemed unattainable. For years we had spoke about, let's take a little bit from every cruise we've been on and make the perfect cruise. Yes. Wow, this one was pretty close.
Yeah, one of the questions that most new followers ask us about our cruise history and our cruise experience is, which is your favorite cruise line? And we're always like, well, we love this about this particular brand. We love this about this other brand of cruise. So, it's hard to give everybody the favorite. But Holland America Volendam is up there pretty high with our favorite right now, for sure.
Yeah, it was one of the trips of a lifetime we've had in the last couple of years cruising. So
yeah,
one of those ones where afterwards you're thinking that was worth every dime we spent on that trip, because it was great from the time we left the house till the time we came home.
Right. And part of the whole financial part of it all was that because we were going in May, we got a really good deal compared to what it would be like cruising that itinerary later in the season. So we jumped on it when we saw the price, and we just we didn't look back. It's been great.
And then I see question. And Tracy's here from Winnipeg. And let's jump back and do a couple other things we want to get through before we get back to Chuck answering your questions or talking with you.
Okay.
That sound like a plan?
Sure.
What's our next plan? Let's say updates from us. So everybody's been asking when the vlogs are coming out. Yesterday we were over the top happy about the cruise. We had to put a video out that said, here was our experience. We just wanted to get that out of our system. We just had to say this was amazing. And we wanted to kind of set the stage for what was coming with the vlogs. I think early this week, we're going to put out the Volendam tour. So we did a ship tour. We're going to get that done early this week. And then after that, later this coming week, you're going to see the vlog start to come out. So I think the first one actually is us traveling. We did an amazing automobile, train ride, boat ride, airplane. But we did getting to the cruise.
Trains, and automobiles with a cruise ship thrown in there is what this cruise experience was.
Yeah, you're not going to see the planes because we didn't film flying back, but you're going to see definitely the train experience was amazing. So we show you that, and then our exploring around Montreal before we got on the cruise. That's the first video to come out by next weekend, and then the vlogs on the ship will come out right after that. So just over a week's time, if that all makes sense.
Love it there.
For sure. Yeah, the few spots we had canceled that we really wanted to see, so we have to get back and around and do that. So let's hide that, put us back there, and get to your favorite part, which is trivia.
Oh, shoot.
Here we go.
This is where you show people how much I don't know.
You know lots. Here we go. So which one of our Canadian ports on this Volendam cruise has the most cruise passengers each year? So was it Montreal, Quebec City, Charlottetown, Sydney, or Halifax? Which one has the most cruise passengers every year?
You didn't even put Boston in there, because I was going to say Boston.
I said what Canadian port?
Canadian. I'm sorry.
If I did include Boston, it would have been the highest.
Okay, all right.
But we're only going Canadian.
Oh, I was thinking of the itinerary. Canadian.
So I know what I thought it was when I looked it up, and I was surprised. It wasn't the one I expected.
Really?
Yeah, so I see the comments coming in. I got a Halifax, a Sydney, a Quebec City, a Halifax, a Quebec City.
Oh, Quebec City.
Hmm.
I was leaning towards Halifax, but I really don't know. Quebec City might be the one too.
I'm watching more come in. We've got another Halifax, Quebec
Halifax,
City,
one of my favorite cities.
Quebec City, and I didn't even write down what the actual numbers were to reference it, but I do remember that by a hair, it was Quebec City.
Oh,
I was surprised because I would have thought for sure Halifax would have caught more crews, especially ones that maybe hit the East Coast before they go off to say Europe. A couple of them hit there before they do transit.
Yeah, that's what made me say Halifax. Was thinking if like say a transatlantic's leaving from New York, it might do Halifax and St. John's on its way over type thing.
Yeah, Quebec City actually has more, and it makes me wonder where do they put all the ships, because that was kind of a small area downtown there. If there's more area they can dock.
But they, you know what, it really did have a very substantial cruise terminal that we walked through.
Yeah, the cruise.
So that made me think they're used to getting some big ships
in there,
embarking and disembarking from that area.
Yeah. So yeah, the answer was Quebec City.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And questions or comments of the week. I think these are all comments.
Okay.
So first comment I threw up there.
Oh, one near and dear to my heart. Yes, it is sad. Formal nights are going to the wayside.
We've really thought about doing a video on this.
We have.
Not sure it's a video that make a lot of friends.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the reason why we probably haven't done it was I didn't want people writing me comments telling me how much they disagree with me. But yes, as you know, Jerry and I like to dress up on cruises, and we enjoy going to the main dining room, and we enjoy formal nights. A lot of people don't. I know that we're probably in the minority in that opinion, but there are a lot of people that do enjoy it. And, you know, I'm really excited that we're going to be going on our first Cunard cruise this fall. And I've purchased a tux for Mr. Canuck that he's never had. Oh, yeah. Summer. Wrong season. Stuff like that. That makes me happy. But not everybody agrees with that opinion. But somebody does. Look at Mark agrees with me.
Where'd you see that?
That's his name, Mark Holman.
Oh, Mark. Yeah. No, it's very interesting because I don't know if maybe it's just not cruise ships. Maybe it's society in general. It used to be like if you went out for dinner somewhere, you got dressed up. If you went to church, you got dressed up. When you, when you went out and did something beyond your normal house clothing that you worked around the house in, you got spiffied up and went out.
No, you're right. It's true. I think your society in general is more casually dressed than what we were, say, when we were children. I mean, I can remember going to church as a child and all the men had suits on. Now that's not generally the case. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know everybody says, well, comfort, right? They're more comfortable. They don't want, it's all, and it used to be, I used to agree that getting dressed up was always very uncomfortable. Mrs. Canuck would have me in these outfits. I'd be like dying to take them off at the end of the night because they're so uncomfortable. The clothing, they're making clothing much more comfortable. Some of the materials more stretchy. Heck, I don't know if you noticed some of the new clothing I had on this last cruise that Feilbach gifted us. They sent me these jeans, and usually like jeans, they usually look decent. If you got a nice pair of dark jeans, you can dress them up. They look okay. But you're, when you sit down, you feel it. When you go up downstairs, you feel they're tight on you. These ones were like really comfortable. They kind of gave in all the right spots.
Got stretch built into
but
them.
They still look good, right? These new, it was like wearing track pants that look like jeans.
So, and even some of your dress pants that we've bought have been like that, right? They have that little stretchy waistband type thing, whatever.
Yeah. So it's nice to be able to throw in something nice. And I myself, I prefer that over showing up and feel like I'm underdressed and feel embarrassed. But some people don't, obviously, from what I've seen on cruises, don't feel that way. But yeah, it is a shame. So that's why I threw the comment that it's kind of, we like doing it, but we understand other people don't. Some people don't dress up and they just go to the buffet because they know that a lot of people do dress up in the main dining room.
But my biggest pet peeve, here goes, is, this happened on the Volendam. We're in the main dining room for a formal night, and most people were dressed up. There was a lot of men in suits. I even saw a few in tuxes. But anyways, this one couple came in. The wife had a beautiful dress, high heels. She's all dressed up, and her husband was wearing a t-shirt. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I'd go to the dining room with Jerry if I was in a fancy dress and he was wearing a t-shirt to the dining room. Yeah. But
it is a controversial topic.
It is.
In the cruise world.
It is.
There's people that are either side. Some are like, free choice. I can wear what I want. Don't tell me what to wear. And other people are like, hey, dress it up. Enjoy,
Yeah. I mean, again, it goes back to your opinion and what you're comfortable with. And obviously that's our opinion. And a lot of people don't agree with that opinion.
Yeah. Yep. And next comment that came in is saying, thank you for mentioning the ship housed the Ukrainian refugees and some of their artwork and honor That's what makes HAL a class act itself.
Yeah.
So
the backstory to that is when the Ukrainian war broke out, Holland America offered the Volendam to be a ship for refugees to stay as a temporary placement in trying to help them out. And so they have this nice little display of some artwork that was created by the refugees while they were there. And they have a nice little plaque commemorating that time and details. And yeah, it's very thoughtful. And it was lovely that they were able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And the last comment comes in saying, MSC is a great unknown for me. Having you guys cover the brand is fantastic. I appreciate that you look at dollars when discussing cruising, unlike other YouTubers. So yeah, we kind of...
Well, the reality is we cruise depending on what our budget allows, right? So I feel like maybe that's the majority of people. If we had, a endless amount of money hidden somewhere, it wouldn't worry you. You might not have to be comparing the dollar figures as closely as we do, but you want to try to get the best for your money.
Yeah, some people, maybe some YouTubers as well, some people, maybe price isn't a factor,
right?
But it definitely is for us. And so that translates really well that when we're trying to do something because we want something cost effective but also good quality, that other people are in the same boat, and they have the same thing. That people think because we cruise sometimes 6-8 times a year that we're like independently wealthy and price isn't an issue. That's not the case. We're just
constantly looking for deals and trying to travel as inexpensively as possible. But here's the thing, there's a balance in that, like everything in life. And so, Jerry and I had this discussion when we were on the Volendam, and I said, we went on the MSC cruise because it was a very good entry level point to get on the ship. The cost of it was a lot less expensive than, say, going on a Princess or a Holland America. But when we're on the Holland America, I said, Jerry, how much more did we pay to get on this? Because it was worth every penny when it came to how we were feeling and the relaxation and the experience that we were receiving. So you've got to weigh those, right?
Yeah, and to put dollars to that type of thinking, I think our Volendam cruise probably cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $800 to $1,000 more than what we spent on the MSC.
Okay.
And so in American terms, between $500 and $650 American. That's how much more we paid to do the Volendam experience than we did MSC. Both had drink packages.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when we look back and think about it, that I think that extra money would have been well spent to just do 2 Holland Americans instead of doing MSCL. I think that extra amount definitely came through in the experience for us.
Yeah. So we're still learning. I mean, we don't know it all, obviously, but we're willing to try different things and see if we find, stuff that is great. And yeah, so that's why we have cruised so many different cruise lines and still want to cruise other ones that we haven't cruised yet.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, price is definitely a factor. And you know what? I've met lots of people that really price isn't a factor because they have the money to travel, mm-hmm. but they don't want to waste their money.
Yeah, true.
They don't want to just blow money on something that's not worth it as well. So I think that's also a factor, that just because you have money doesn't mean you're not frugal with it and get good quality.
You're not trying to get a good deal.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And so that's the end of the comment section. So let's chase it back to kind of the theme of today, which was that small ship experience.
Okay.
And how about there's a bunch of fears that people have about small ships. So we kind of faced these fears ourselves as we were going into this last cruise. Mm-hmm. And as we said earlier, before that last section we just went through, if you have any questions, then put them in the question section or the comment section, and we'll bring them up here as we go along. But one of the first fears is that to get on a small ship, we all know that every ship they're building seems to be bigger and bigger than the one before it, and they're bigger ships than the new ones. So they're older ships and they're dated, and so you're not getting that new fancy bling. So what do you think? What do you say to that?
Yeah. So giving a little context to that, when we got on the Rotterdam, it was only around 6 months old. And then we're going on the Volendam that was 25 years old or more. So we were like, oh, is it going to show its age and be worn down and that sort of thing? That was our concern. But it really wasn't, in our opinion. They had, obviously it's gone into dry dock and had probably multiple renovations since it's been first released. But it was very well kept and maintained, and there was staff constantly working, even while we were on the ship, to continue to maintain it and paint things and keep it nice and clean and modern looking. They had upgraded the showers in our bathroom to what the cruise originally was. So we had a great big wide glass shower and door like you would on the newer Pinnacle class ships. So that was a nice, pleasant surprise. You didn't have a shower curtain, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, older ships, there is a thing called refurbishment. So they're not going to stay old and run down forever.
Right.
So yeah, we definitely, especially the public spaces, bathrooms in all the cabins.
Yeah.
We're done. There was a few things here that you noticed it that in cabins, like you mentioned.
Yeah, like the end table on my side of the bed was chipped and like the covering was starting to peel off of it. So yeah, that probably could have been replaced. Obviously a minor issue. The biggest thing I think for us, we notice now because we're vlogging and we're constantly charging batteries and that sort of thing. There's very little outlets in an older cruise ship compared to the newer ones where they give you more charging places and electrical outlets to use. Yeah. So that was probably the biggest negative in our cabin for us.
One thing our ship had that was fascinating, you have to watch this in the vlog. I think it had a legacy old radio transmitter receiver built into the headboard of where the bed is.
Yeah.
That you could go in there and choose. You know how the old cars, you had to have like presets, you push the button and it would set the channel, you would set whatever channel you had in the radio station. I think this was something similar to that. We could choose like 5 or 6 different stations that used to come through your cabin speaker.
Yeah.
I think it's all been disconnected since, but it still worked. So you could actually turn it on. And you could hear static every time.
Static, like you're trying to tune in a radio station. I'm like, oh, that, and it was literally right in the middle, like that we had the 2 beds pushed together for a king, and the switches for that was right in between the 2 of us where we would sleep. So I'm like, don't reach out in the middle of the night because you're going to turn that on by mistake, and wouldn't that be a shocking sound?
So you did see little things like that. The other thing that I noticed that I thought was just hilarious, you didn't think it was as funny as me, but like the makeup mirror, I swear they went down in the North Atlantic to Titanic and took all the makeup mirors off and put them in the Volendam because that's what it looked like. It
was very classic.
Very classic looking makeup mirror.
I liked it, but yeah.
I didn't use it. But it was very classic looking. Yeah. So we'll jump in now there and grab a question in between our fears and small ship stuff. How's that sound?
Okay.
Just kind of to jump back and forth a little bit and keep everybody with the questions up to date. So JT Downing asks, they're going to be on the Volendam and the same itinerary, and they're in September, and they're wondering what's your favorite excursion.
So the only paid excursion we did was when we were in Sydney because we wanted to see a little bit of the Cabot Trail. And so we booked a ship excursion through them, which we had a great time. And it was a bus ride, around an hour-and-a-half bus ride to, you want to say the name of the town so I don't butcher it? Baddeck. And then Baddeck is a beautiful little community along that area. So we loved that. It was great. But Quebec, so Montreal we got on, and of course we had spent the day before and explored and did all our own thing. Quebec City, exact same thing. You're right downtown in old Quebec City. You can easily get off and do your own thing. Charlottetown, we had sort of booked our own excursion because going to Charlottetown, I really wanted to see Anna Green Gables and do the whole thing Anna Green Gables. And the cruise ship did have excursions for that, but only parts of it just because of the timeline. And so we sort of did the math and decided we can rent a car and we can do it all in one day. So we had one crazy heck of a day.
If you're in Charlotte,
don't do it.
If you're in Charlottetown and you can't rent a car and do all that craziness, in Charlottetown, there's a musical called Anne and Gilbert. The musical, and it is phenomenal, and it is...
If you like anything Anna Green Gables, yes. I highly recommend it.
Amazing. For sure. Yeah, it's funny because you go into, basically it's a school or a college or something.
It's a college, Holland College.
And you go into this theater, and it looks like kind of even like a high school theater. Like it's, you're looking around. At first we were like, what did we get ourselves into? Yeah,
I wasn't sure by the size of the theater because it's not a big fancy theater like you would normally go to see a musical. It's very understated.
But the lights came up, the actors, the singers came out, and they were as good as, West End, Broadway, a musical that you would pay big money in a big city for. They were phenomenal singers. Absolutely.
Their costumes were gorgeous. Their sets were not elaborate whatsoever, but the actual talent, the singing, the storyline was phenomenal.
Yeah, we would say anybody going to Charlottetown, if you have the choice of going to go and see museums and stuff about Anne Green Gables or to see the musical, I think I'd lean towards the musical.
I would too. But I'm glad we did both.
Yep.
But you can't really do both in one day realistically on a cruise ship, but we made it happen. But I wouldn't recommend that. Anyways, what other ports did I? Oh, and Bar Harbor, we got off and did our own little thing there too, which is very easy to do because of the size of the community.
Yeah, we did a lot of our own type of thing other than in Sydney. And it worked out really well because our booked excursion there was the only day we had a little bit of rain, and we were on the bus when it rained, so we didn't have to worry about walking around somewhere in the rain. So.
In Halifax, we had friends, patrons, members. Wanda and Paul graciously met us there and was our private tour guide for the day. So that was beyond wonderful for us.
And there we did the Peggy's Cove Loop, and you see lots of lighthouses and beautiful scenery. Yeah, we stopped for a little bit of a lunch along the way. So,
but there's so much to do in Halifax. You could just walk the boardwalk and see all the museums, the shops. You're in walking distance of the park, all kinds of stuff there.
Which is definitely what we'll probably do next time in Halifax and do that type of stuff. So, so we'll jump back. Fred's got a question. We'll jump to Fred's question after we do the next one.
Okay.
And that is, if you're on a small ship, the fear is you're going to have less and worse entertainment than you would on a big ship.
That was definitely our fear. We thought, we are very big into the nightlife on a cruise ship. We love going around to listening to live music and dancing if we can. We love going to the main theater shows and seeing big shows and that sort of thing. So that was our concern was, there'll be a show every night and maybe like one live performance somewhere that we would have to sort of, but that wasn't the case. We had a piano player in the piano bar. We had a guitar player in the mixed band, and the ocean bar had a full band, live band every single night. Was wonderful. Plus they had a pianist that would play at happy hours earlier in the day. So there was lots of entertainment on this smaller ship.
Main theater, there was the Breton Thunder band that played, and definitely watch our vlogs to see this band because we loved them. If you love anything about Eastern Canadian music, absolutely wonderful. Yeah,
they were phenomenal. So much so that we watched repeat performances of theirs because we loved it so much. And we weren't the only ones. We would watch the theater clear out after the first show and look, and there'd still be, I don't know, 15-20% of the people stayed to watch the second one at least.
Yeah, watch the same show all over again. Yeah. Yeah, and what's interesting, we've kind of given Holland America a little bit of a hard time about the Step One dance shows, that they really weren't our thing, and they're just dancing with music, and we kind of wanted to see that more live entertainment type of thing. But ironically, on this small ship with this stage set up and the way they've re-choreographed those shows, we actually enjoyed them a lot more on the Volendam than we did on the Pinnacle class with the big 180-degree.
I don't know if the perspective of us viewing it was different. It felt like when we always saw it on the Pinnacle class ship that there needed to be more. They needed a set. They needed a background. They needed something because it felt like it was lacking. Whereas it felt like it filled up the whole stage on this smaller class ship. So you didn't feel like it was lacking anything.
Yep.
That's the best way I can describe it.
So when I added it all up, that what I would find on a typical night on a Pinnacle class, brand new Holland America, New Stondam, Rotterdam,
right?
For entertainment, this ship had the exact same amount of entertainment going on. Meanwhile, it was a fraction of the number of people and the fraction of the size. So well done, Holland America, for making that happen. That there was no compromising the entertainment on board, even though it was a small ship. So that's no longer a fear of ours,
right?
At least with Holland America,
right?
So we'll jump back over to Fred as a question.
Okay.
He has a cruise booked 14 days British Isle. They're 66 and 65, and they want to dress up when they go on this Holland America cruise. Will they be out of place by dressing up?
You won't be out of place, but you'll probably be, I would say Holland America, it might be 50-50 the last few cruises we've done with it. You won't be out of place. Like I said, on the Volendam, I did see around 3 or 4 tuxedos. Quite a few suits. The section that we were at, almost every man had a suit on. There were a few that just had collared shirts, but the majority had a suit on.
And I would say that in general, the European British cruises, they tend to dress up more, the European folks.
Yeah, for sure.
And so naturally, you're going to have more dressier cruises, I think, than you would at a North America, especially like a Caribbean run or something like that. So I think,
well, we found that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, so I think definitely you'd be safe that you would not be out of place dressing up at all. I think it'll be actually probably more the norm than anything else.
Yeah, I would agree.
Especially on that cruise, that itinerary. I think a longer cruise like that is probably going to be more classic cruising and more dressing up.
Yeah. I think you skipped over a question here at 2:36 here.
Oh, yeah?
The question is, how did you like your ocean view room on the promenade deck? So I loved the actual size of the room and the cabin and everything about the cabin. The location for getting out on the deck was absolutely wonderful. What I didn't like was that every morning at 6 a.m. I was woken up by them cleaning the deck, setting up the deck chairs. You could hear them opening and closing and rearranging the deck chairs and putting the cushions on them and swabbing the deck, as I like to say. Anyways, so that woke me up every day, and I'm a very light sleeper, and so I wasn't falling back to sleep after that. So I would probably not pick that same cabin location just because of that for me.
Yeah, we probably would have had a better sleep if we were in an interior cabin, which would have been less money for us.
Yeah.
And we were hardly in our cabin. We really love what they have available on the TV for Holland America. They have fantastic selection of movies to be able to watch. It's almost like having your own PVR. You can pause stuff, everything else. We realized, almost partway through the cruise that we never even turned on the TV except to watch the muster drill
the
video.
Whole cruise. The only time we turned it on was to do the muster drill the first day, and that was it.
Never turned on again. We were having that much fun. So having an interior cabin, when you think of it that way, if you're just going there and you're literally just crashing at the end of a fantastic day and getting up and doing it all over again, I think an interior would have done well for us.
Yeah, but if you are wanting the location, it was a great location, but be mindful, if you're a light sleeper, you probably will get woken up every morning by them getting ready to set up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So another small ship type of fear is that because it's the smallest and the oldest ship, and all the cruise lines seem to be pushing the newest, the greatest ships, then they don't put their best staff on the ship. Right. So do you think that you would compromise with the level of staff and the quality of service that we got?
No, we had amazing staff everywhere we went. And I will say at every level, I'm talking from the caretakers on the staff that were, when I went into the ladies' room and they were cleaning the ladies' room, the women there were always friendly and having a conversation with you and just lovely, to officers. Even before we got on board and we were doing the embarkation, there was officers coming in and talking to the whole crowd of us all sitting there waiting, and just overly friendly and great staff.
Yeah, for sure. That in fact we I don't know if we've ever seen a staff happier than this staff.
Yeah,
there would be music going on and the guests would be like having a good time dancing and stuff, but so would the staff. They'd be like dancing their way back to the bar. They'd be singing out loud. They would you could really tell they were having a great time right along with the passengers. It was not like, okay, we're here to do our job and I'm almost done my shift type of thing. It was like they loved being there, and it was not fake. It was authentic. You could not fake that much joy.
Yeah, it felt like it. I mean, maybe the size of the amount of passengers makes it different for them and how busy they are. I'm not sure, but they definitely did seem to be like that. And I would compare that to, we had that experience when we were on Marella too. The staff there were like that, and that was a little bit of a smaller ship too.
Yeah.
But
and one thing you kind of touched on when you talked about the cleaning staff, and you briefly mentioned the word washroom. When you're on a small ship, sometimes you find some really amazing kind of classic things that you don't find anymore on the bigger ships that are more efficient. You got to tell them about your ladies' washroom.
So outside of the main dining room on deck 5, not the main floor is 4, but we were up on the upper level of the dining room, deck 5. So I went to the ladies' room the first night, and I came back and I said to Mr. Canuck, I have never filmed a bathroom before in my life, and I've always told him to stop filming the bathrooms when he's done it because I didn't think it was appropriate. But I said, I think I may have to film this bathroom because it was beautiful. It was, first of all, the biggest bathroom I've ever been on.
Listen to this, guys. Because I went into the guy's washroom after she told me about this, what she's going to tell you here, to see if we had the same type of features. No.
So you walk into this very large room that had 2 full-size sofas with great big ocean view windows above them, where you could just gorgeous place just to sit and watch the ocean going by in the bathroom.
Yeah, this isn't outside. This is in the bathroom itself.
In the ladies' room. You've already opened the door with the picture of the lady, and you're in there. And then off to the other side of the wall were full makeup tables with creams and tissues and all that sort of thing for you. And then you go into another room where there's actually the stalls to use the washroom and the sinks and the hand towels and all of that. But yeah, it was a gorgeous, gorgeous bathroom.
Yeah, what's up, Hal? What about us guys? That would be fantastic. We just hang out in the bathroom.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. There were times where we were trying to get a window seat for sail away for cocktail hour, and there weren't any available. And I said to her, that's okay. I'll just take my glass of wine and I'll go sit in the ladies' washroom and watch the sail away from there. I jokingly said it. I didn't actually do it. But, I mean, you had a leather sofa overlooking the ocean. You could have.
There you go. Oh, so one of the other fears is that you're going to have to compromise on a small ship for food options available to you. Do you feel like that happened to you?
No, not at all. I mean, you do have less options than the Pinnacle Grill because you're missing the Dutch Cafe and you're missing the New York Deli that the Pinnacle class ships have. You do have the dive-in burgers. And also with the dive-in burgers, they have a taco bar there, which is sort of a nice little add-on that we hadn't seen before. And then, like we spoke earlier, the buffet was just as large as we're used to. And of course, the main dining room was great. You had 2 specialty restaurants you could choose from. So you did lose a few specialty restaurants if you're used to having more. They had Pinnacle Grill and the Candelaria, the Italian restaurant.
No, they did turn, I think one night they turned the Pinnacle Grill into like an Asian specialty restaurant. So they had,
did.
for one night, it became not the Pinnacle Grill, it became something else. I didn't write down what it was called, but
That's
it was
true.
It turned into an Asian special menu for one night.
Yeah, that's true.
So they kind of had 2 and a little bit of specialty dining.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely missed was the Dutch Cafe. Now, in saying that, on the, what was it? Was it, to me, there's the chocolate night. Or maybe it was the orange party. I know we did see some treats that came out that were very similar to things they usually have in the Dutch Cafe.
It was the orange party night.
Yeah, so we had a hint of some of the stuff you find in the Dutch party.
Yeah, that's right.
Or in the Dutch Cafe.
Dutch Cafe.
And then also the pizza. Yeah, I say that was a big miss because they did have pizza in the buffet. It was not good in my opinion, not even close to what you get at the New York Pizza Deli that's on the Pinnacle class. So the pizza was a big letdown. That's fine. I had lots of pizza on MSC, probably more than I needed. So
I was happy to be on a cruise and not have to eat pizza every day. So
yeah, and I think the other thing was that I tried again what I did on a previous Holland America cruise. I used the veggie menu available in the main dining room every night. It's a special menu that you order for the next night what you want. So I gave that a try. The veggie menu is smaller on this ship than it was on the new Amsterdam that I tried it on. So I'm not sure if that was a small ship thing or whether fleet-wide they've changed that menu. I'm not sure.
The actual main dining room menu was very similar to what we were used to. And that hasn't changed, in my opinion. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And the last thing I had is a lot of times to get on a small ship, it means you have to go to a more luxurious cruise line and pay a lot more money.
Yeah, like Silver Seas or Seabourn and some of those sort of luxury lines.
Yeah, but that in this case it wasn't, because if you can get on a smaller ship on an existing cruise line, a lot of times those are priced lower than the new ships that they're trying to promote, and everybody wants to try the newest ship. So we had a fantastic deal getting on this ship, having the small ship experience without the big price. So yeah, but yeah, it was all around. Yeah, I can't imagine much they could have done to make it better, to tell you the honest truth. Like, it was really, really good cruise, really good itinerary. Everything was exactly what actually not exactly we hoped for. It was beyond expectations.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely was beyond what we had expected. Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah,
I've noticed here there's a few people that has tried to help us out here. Can you click?
Sure. Which one would you like?
236. I'm seeing.
Oh, okay, that's way up there.
Oh, sorry.
No, you can go ahead and start talking. I'll find it.
Just, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. It helps us out a lot, and we appreciate that. We are very appreciative of all the support that we receive from all of you.
If you're ever watching this YouTube video and you do want to put a comment in the comment section, you do have to be a subscriber, but there's like a 1 minute delay from when you subscribe to when you can comment. So that's available to you as well if you want to ask questions. And you see you're back down towards the bottom there.
I'm just sort of seeing if I missed anything here.
There's a couple here. Scott says that he was so impressed by the staff when he was on the Volendam, remembered our names. Yeah, I went in and ordered. I forget what I ordered the first night. Was it a Crown Royal the first night?
Yeah.
Oh, I should say that to you.
Crown Royal was at every bar.
Every night. Did not run out. No problems. Included my drink package. Perfect. Again, another perfect segment to this cruise was the Crown Royal availability. But I think I ordered it the very first night, and the second night I came in, I didn't feel like Crown Royal because I think I just had a couple at the Ocean Bar. But the bartender walked up and said, "Mr. Shields, another Crown Royal."
Yeah, and they knew their name. They knew what he had drank the night before. So yeah, that's the type of service we had. The one thing I will say, sort of on a negative, and I think a lot of you have sort of warned me about this, was that at some point last year, Holland America changed their prices on their drinks. So it used to be if you had the Have It All package, you could go to any bar, and for me, I could order almost any drink with the exception of one or two that would have been a slight overage charge into your drink package. What I found, because I tend to drink cocktails and, like cosmopolitans, that sort of thing, Glacier Blues that I love, is that they've now increased them to a $12 cost, and my drink package was only covering drinks $11.
So inflation is taking the prices up, like all things that we've been finding are more expensive, but they did not raise the limit of the have it all drink package to match the inflation.
Now, if you have the signature drink package, it's $15 a day, but they wouldn't even let.
That's the elite drink package.
The elite.
You had the signature.
Yeah, I had the signature. Sorry, I got the names wrong. If you had the other one, you would be fine. But we couldn't even upgrade our drink package.
Or at least we couldn't figure out how to do it. Maybe there's a way, but we couldn't figure it out.
Anyways, so just sort of, it's a little nitpicky, but every time I ordered a drink, I was having to pay $1 or something, which is okay. But you need to be aware that that's going to happen. I mean, it didn't add up to much over the cost of the cruise. It might have been $3 or $4 a day that we paid extra, and so it was still okay financially, but it just seemed a little like cheap. Just sort of left me with a feeling like they probably could have their drink package cover that $1 extra charge on all of their drinks, because there literally were bars that you would go to and open the menu there, and there wasn't one listed menu item that was covered in my drink package, which was shocking to me.
You usually by $1. It would have taken $1 extra for it to cover almost everything. But
right. Yeah. Exactly.
There you go.
That's my negative.
And Kimmy Cat says, sounds like the perfect cruise. All they need to do is add the candy girl.
There you go. The candy girl from Your Enchanted Princess. You would have been happy.
No candy girl, although there was lots of really good art, but no candy girl. So one day Princess will gift me that picture.
Highly doubt it.
And Trey says Dutch Cafe is great. The coffee, as are the snacks. Mm-hmm. You had a bit of a coffee issue in one spot, did you not?
The main dining room. I like going to the Explorers Cafe is what they had there, or the Dutch Cafe on the bigger ships and getting a coffee. But I've always found that Holland America's coffee that they give you when you go to the main dining room for breakfast has always been very good. So anyways, I went to the main dining room the first day for breakfast, had coffee, it was great. And then twice later in the week, we went back, and both times the coffee was undrinkable. It was so bad. So I don't know what happened from the first day that we were there to the end of the cruise, but it was definitely not the same quality as what I've known Holland America to have for their coffee in the main dining room.
Question: what was your favorite main dining room meal?
I don't know. You answer that one.
It might be a good chance for you to tell them what you did for the first time, and that was probably a really special one. You enjoyed that one.
So I upgraded and did the steak and lobster, the surf and turf one night for $18 more. So that was definitely great. But when we're thinking about menus that was included, well, I love a lot of the seafood that they offered. So I had, some seafood dishes that were really good, but of course I'm big at having red meat because we don't really have it at home because Mr. Connect doesn't like it. So, the beef tenderloin, that sort of thing, I'm a fan of that. And so, that was probably my best meal, the beef tenderloin.
Yeah, and I think you understated one of the new strategies. I know a lot of people, when they look at the menus and they see the upcharges, it's like, we're already paying for this cruise and the meal. Now you want to charge more. But Holland America doesn't have lobster anymore, so that's a negative too.
That is a bit of a negative. And Princess still does. Even MSC gives you lobster for free in the main dining room.
But you paid the upcharge. It was $18, and it gave you a chance to have a premium steak and lobster in the main dining room with someone who doesn't have steak and lobster like seafood. So we didn't have to go pay $50 each at the specialty dining.
Right.
We paid $18 to have the same food.
Yeah. It makes sense for us to do it that way because Jerry's never going to pay to order the steak and lobster. And so we only have to pay for it for me, right? So for us, it was a good deal.
So instead of $100 for steak and lobster, we paid $18 for steak and lobster. Yeah. So when you think about it that way, it really worked out well for us as a couple at least. Yep. So and one last, I guess, a comment is Fred saying his bucket list is going to the South Pole. We've kicked it around. We're not 100% convinced that cold weather cruises are our thing. We're fearful that we'll get some cold weather there, big waves. But definitely, I think we're going to evolve to there. It's on the list, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's on the short-term list, but maybe a long-term goal.
When we're both in retirement, possibly. Yeah. He mentions the QE2, and so we're cruising on Cunard this summer. So we're going to give that a try on the Queen Elizabeth. So
excited for
Yeah,
that.
we're excited to try that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we made it through the questions, and we're over time by 15 minutes today.
Oh, wow.
We have talked and
we
talked.
talked a lot. You can tell we were excited about this cruise, right,
Yep,
guys?
Yeah. So we'll call it there, and we will be putting out our videos this week. So watch those as well as the vlog starting at the end of the week and into next week. But we'll also be back next Sunday at 2:00 again for another live. So thanks everybody for watching and all your comments. Have a great week, and hopefully the weather's getting better where you are. So, and if you're out and about exploring and enjoying the great weather, we understand, but we'll be here every Sunday for those days when it's cloudy and you want to catch us during the rain.
We'll watch us in rerun when you get a rainy day sometime.
Exactly. So thanks everybody, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye for now.